Welcome back, you guys, to Marketing Teardown with Andrew and Travis. Today, we're going to go over the positioning strategy of a company called Nuggs. If you didn't catch the last couple episodes where we break down some other aspects of the company, including their business model, go check them out above, below, somewhere. But today, we're going to talk about positioning. So, first things first, who buys this? This is it's a meat alternative. It's not a meat chicken nuggets. And so we identified a couple key personas of who they're really going after in the market, and also kind of who makes sense to fit into their subscription model. And man, where do we start with this? It's pretty clear, especially with their branding, sort of what they're going after. For sure, trendy vegans, vegetarians, woke tech bros with their tech angle and sort of their tech background. And then I think if you look at this from a SKU perspective and from a subscription perspective, rich suburban moms are basically the key to tying all of this together. But how do you even approach this, Travis? Where do you want to break this down?
I mean, if you look at the commonality between all these people, they have expendable income, and they have a lot of time. Besides top right, woke tech bro, they have a lot of time to make decisions. So they're going to evaluate their different options in the market. And so if you can get their allegiance, besides the woke tech bro, you're going to be able to increase that lifetime value because they're going to do a lot of repurchasing, especially rich suburban moms.
Yeah. I think rich suburban moms especially make sense to me just for the subscription, on a subscription basis, because for a 4-pound box of nuggets, no individual or couple needs a 4-pound box of nuggets on a regular basis. It just doesn't make any sense. But for a family, yeah, that absolutely does make sense. And the person in the family who's going to buy this, most likely the rich suburban mom, or I guess you'd say rich suburban dad, depending on how the family roles are set up. But yeah, that's who's going to introduce that food into the household, and then the kids are of course going to follow the taste of the parents. So to me, that's probably their core target persona, which also makes sense with their expansion into Whole Foods that they're working on with the retail push. So that's basically exactly their target.
The top two personas, like tech bros and trendy vegans, those are the people that switch consumables the most. Those are the two people that want to have the newest opinion about the newest thing. So I would imagine that unless you're making a very, very large purchase, which I'm sure both of those people do, the key to getting that customer lifetime value really high is the rich suburban mom.
Yeah, there's one exception to that, I think, which is as they launch new products or even merch or even non-food products, because anyone is in the tech bro or the trend chaser category is going to immediately buy that. If they're like, hey, last time I bought this cool thing and I could tell all my friends about it and they thought it was fucking awesome, and now there's a new thing from this company, I gotta buy this and tell people about it. That's exactly how it's going to go down every time.
It's all the social points.
Yeah, everybody who buys Soylent and then tells everybody about how they're optimizing their diet and is a meal replacement shake is exactly that. So that's really, that's what taking personas in the market. We want to break this down from a few other angles as well. So we pulled up a pretty classic protein matrix on just a refresher on that. We've got x-axis from pretty boring kind of brand to a pretty cool brand, and then our y-axis going from low cost to high cost. So I think pretty key when we're looking at protein. Those are usually the main factors as far as what's going to influence your purchasing decision. You can basically apply this to protein powders as well, and you'll always have people that go for the lowest price but want something that is kind of cool, and you'll always have people that are just I don't care what it costs, give me the best thing, and they'll have a different opinion on the cool spectrum depending on who they are, where they fall, and how they get that category. So, we've got Nuggs squarely in the cool category, but kind of medium on cost. I think this is a good position to be in overall, I would say.
It's interesting because if you look at our personas and the who buys this, each person fits into very specific categories. So the rich suburban mom will definitely go into the lower high costs and the boring category, whereas the tech bro doesn't care how much it costs. He's going to go for the Impossible Burger if it's super expensive, as long as it's too cool for school. Kind of the vegan too, but they might fall kind of more in that square in the middle, corn category. But really Nuggs and Soylent are almost positioned in the exact same space. I think Nuggs is a little bit more playful and less technical and kind of boring. Soylent, just the nature of their product is hey, this is going to probably taste bad. You're not going to like it, but it's going to be effective. And it was perfect for the timing in Silicon Valley. And that's kind of what they did too, is they're like, oh, okay, we're going to create something that first is a powder, next is like an accessible drink, and then next as like a, we're going to sell it in 7-Eleven and then do SKU product expansion from there. But I think the reason they were able to do that is they're essentially a chemical company, whereas Nuggs is like, there's so much more on like the production and manufacturing and shipping end that it's going to be a little
Logistics.
bit difficult to get into that low cost category. But we'll see how they do. Hot dogs might be a game changer.
Yeah, and the way I'm looking at this, by the way, I think this is, if you reference the way that we're looking at the business model, the direction they can move on this is basically up or down along the y-axis. Like they, for sure, they don't want to become a boring brand. Like that's their differentiator right now, so they're super cool. But for them to go low cost is basically optimizing their production, scaling up, improving their logistics, and just like building the infrastructure to get to people, because that's going to drive down the cost of the product and improve their margins. And then moving down into the high cost category, that's the kind of thing that would improve their average order value, that would improve their lifetime value if they can produce at a similar price point to get the product onto into someone's home, like similar cost of goods, but they can charge more, then yeah, their margin is going to go up. And so like if their margin is kind of on the edge right now and they're surviving off of their raised capital, like those are the two options that they basically have in order to put this in the long run to a sustaining viable business, as far as I can see that. So yeah, so that said, I mean, I give him an 8. I score him an 8. You're a little bit more pessimistic.
I brought him down to a 7, a reluctant 7, because I love this brand so much. Right now, they're doing terribly as far as like their unit economics, but really like all they need is a really good operations person and somebody who's good at negotiation, because they have like, say this all the time, but like brand is such a secret weapon because it makes everything so much easier. It means acquisition is going to be cheaper. It means everybody's going to flock to organic channels a lot more. Like, just as somebody who is not the target persona whatsoever, I visited their website 4 or 5 times. I shared it with people. I plugged in my phone number. I had conversations with their help person. Everything's going to be easier just because their brand is so solid and their persona has a lot of money. If you can just convince them to purchase again, like all their personas have expendable income for this category specifically.
Yeah. And I gave him the 8 on top of that. I completely agree. And I gave him 8 on top of that just for the sole reason that the market is growing like crazy and they're focusing on, I think, the right thing with expanding their SKUs and also going into retail. And for that basis, like I think they're going to build a solid chunk in the market for themselves off of that. Wrapping all that up, that's the Teardown. A couple pluggables real quick. I run a company called Optomotive. We help other companies launch and scale new brands, new products, and enter into new markets. So if you want to do one of those things, let me know. And then Travis, you got some pluggables as well?
Yeah, I'm head of product over at Cinebody. We're a video production platform. Essentially, it makes it easy for brands to send out a brief. They click a link and then they can film anything that the brand requests. It comes back in shot list format over the cloud. You can package it and edit it and usually send it out within a day.
Yeah, well, hot diggity dog, that's Teardown.